Halloween. What? So, Steve Reeves over at Steve's Haunted Yard is starting his setup vlogs. And, that kind of got me thinking, man, maybe I should start some vlogs, because I haven't really done anything for Halloween except for doing, moving here. So, I guess this is day one of setup vlog for Scare Hollow 2023. As you can see, as I back up here, let me back up. I've got a garage full of stuff. Partially, and I got a 12-foot skeleton there and a witch and stuff. Part of it is that when I have this garage door closed, it is 120 degrees in here. Look, there's me. Hi. And so it has been impossible to come in here to actually work in here to get any of this cleaned up. I made the point of putting this is like all the spirit stuff, the tubes, the projectors, all that kind of stuff. Because I didn't want them out in the shed where it's going to get even hotter, but it gets just as hot in here. But it also is fully protected from the weather in that there's no rain or anything happening on them. Because we've already had one of the sheds blow over. So I knew that putting something like the 12-foot skeleton in there would not be a good idea. And things like this, like I've got to fix these. They didn't make it very well in the truck on the way here. But so probably one of the first things that we need to do is organize this garage in a way that I can get at least some sort of another tape, because I have got like that table there. Well, I need to put that stuff somewhere, so I've got to get more cabinets or more dressers. Like we have a dresser right there that's new. We're going to probably find a couple more dressers and shelving units, so I can start putting some of all this little stuff away, organize these a little better. But once I get a space in here that I can actually work on stuff, I've got things to repair. Like I've got to repair those. I need to start making a few things, and I need space to work. Because you can't really work outside in this. The sun, it's summer. So probably one of the first things that we'll do after we do that is try to figure out where everything's going to go out here. We did get some stuff from Home Depot. We got some of their bigger tombstones, because I gave away a lot of my tombstones, so I needed more tombstones. I also did get another. Lowe's has a new one of the pumpkin stands. It's a mummy, so I got one of those, so I have different ones. The first thing I did was I actually drew out, I measured this whole yard, and because I need brand new layouts and diagrams and everything. And one of the things is that this yard is basically as big as my old yard, but it's broken up into two sections. So you see how you have the driveway, you have that. So from there all the way back is my yard, and from that thing right there all the way back is my yard. So you can kind of see the line, because they have much nicer grass than I do. The lady that lived here before did not take care of her grass very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting the fence up and everything, but I need to build more fencing, because what I have here, I need to make 7 more sections of fencing, because if you look at this diagram right here, you can see that I need a lot more fencing. So I need 7 more sections of fencing, but I also wanted to put a pillar in between each section of fencing, and then of course I need big pillars. I want to put a big pillar there, and a big pillar there, and then a big pillar there, and a big pillar there, so that the front 4 pillars will be big. And then going down each run and going in between will all be the smaller pillars that I make out of the pink foam. So kind of the idea is that the interactivity parts of it, so like when they're pushing buttons and stuff, will be up in this area right here, up in where, because we have this cool little drainage ditch here. Everybody in Texas, or at least out here anyways, has these drainage lines. And believe me, about a week after we got here, we had a big thunderstorm that filled this up, like within minutes. So if it hadn't, all that water would have ran all over. So I've got it on both sides. And so there'll be a little less interactivity this year And from now on, because before people were walking right up to my fence and it was right along the road, so now they won't be able to do that. There's maybe an idea that I can actually push the fence back a little bit and people can walk, basically walk on my driveway and walk down that way and see the stuff. So as I do this yard every year, I will probably change that a little bit. But I think this year, for the most part, we're going to come to right about here. And that will put me in line with that right there. Main reason is there's a sprinkler head right there and a sprinkler head right there. And then there's a sprinkler head in the middle, like right here as well. And then, of course, on each corner over there, too. I don't know where those lines run, and so that's going to be a big issue of trying to make sure that I don't hit the lines. Obviously, if there's a sprinkler head, I think he's... God, they're so hard to find. Even though I just mowed, they're really hard to find where the sprinkler head is. But let's just say it's right. Let's just say it's right here. That means generally that line is going to be right there. So my fence is actually going to be inside of this. So I'm going to have a fairly good section of grass that will not be inside the fence, which is fine. It'll actually help with something like that where, like, because we have the 2 cars here now, we're always going to have 2 cars. We're borrowing a car right now. We're going to buy one here pretty soon. Then the doors won't open to the fence, So I'm probably going to actually take that into account when I do this, so that the fence will actually be maybe like in line with the front door right there, and it'll come straight down here. And then, of course, it's not going to go in the front of that at all. So people can walk up onto this as well and do some interactivity stuff, because I still want to do push button stuff. So like the 12-foot witch will have a push button. I'm going to see about some other stuff that can turn on with a button as I go along. But the other idea is that, so the fence will go along the edge right here, but it's not going to go all the way back. Eventually it might and just connect to that piece of fence right there. But I think what I'm going to do for kind of an ease with not having to build so many extra fences is I'm going to come to probably right about there. So it would come out to there, or maybe to that one. I haven't decided yet. So then the fence would go here. I'm still going to put stuff back here, but it's not going to be behind a fence. Mainly, I'm going to probably put a projection up there like the moon, and I got the disc and put the projection up there, and then use the projector probably maybe in the backyard to go up to it. So I've got a lot of options that I can do with this yard, which is great. But it'll definitely be a graveyard for sure. And we're going to put a projection in that window right there. So these guys will they actually might turn around so that the horses that way, their heads are out more. Like maybe this one will be pointing out over here, so that when you're looking down here, his head is over here, and that one can go straight out from there, so that it looks like it's coming as people are walking up to the door to get candy. The horse would be right here, and a nice little natural block too, so that nobody walks through there. But yeah, we're gonna put a projection in this big window right here. We have the bat skeleton from Home Depot. We bought one of those, and it'll be used for a future plan as well. But we're thinking, because we have this big alcove up here, that he needs to be up there. So we're going to suspend him from up here somehow, and put a light up there and everything. But also, these are going to be really cool to put lights up in as well, to give some really cool look to it. So I'm going to be playing with some floodlights in here to really give this area a nice glow. And then for this year, I think I'm going to put a couple of the bubble tubes up on either side of the door, so it just kind of looks cool. And then in future years, those will be used for the Frankenstein theme. So the garage will be closed this year. Next year, we'll have Frankenstein's lab in here. Where I'm going to put the 12-foot skeleton and those the pillar guys, or the corpses hanging on the candle things, I was thinking about putting them in front of the garage, and I still think I might. The problem is it gets windy here, and I need to make sure that I secure the 12-foot skeleton. Last year I used hay bales. Here in East Texas, they roll their bales. So there's very few people that have square hay bales. I'm still going to look, and hopefully I can find some. And then I will use that same look this year and just put the hay bales up, and a lot less risk of it raining on them, which is cool. So this side of the yard will actually have where the cemetery fence will only go up to the edge of the house. So it will sit right along here and go out to here and go down there. So it'll just be a nice square right here, because this is pitch black at night back here. So you won't see any of this stuff at all. But the cool thing is, all my Halloween stuff is right here. We have a visitor, by the way. I don't know if you've seen it on Facebook, but there's an armadillo that goes in that little hole right there. I saw him last night because we had a lightning storm last night, and I came out here to look, and he's back there somewhere. I don't think he's actually back there right now, but I think he's made a hole underneath all this cemetery fence because he went right back in here. This is all armadillo stuff, like he's been, raking it back. And then of course there's little bits of the yard, like this right here. That's him. He will dig out that a little bit, put his nose in there, and get grubs out of the yard. And there's a bunch of this in the yard. I need to mow back here. I mowed this morning, but only the front yard. So I got plenty of cemetery fencing, which is great. So I have almost enough this year to do the majority of the yard. I've got all the cemetery, the pillars back there. Technically, I need to make 24 more of these. So that'll be fun. That'll be a wintertime project, which is great. Let's hope nothing comes out. I have a problem with that. So this is where all the cemetery stuff is. As you can tell, I've got some of the stones in here, and some of the Home Depot stones from last year in here, lots of skeletons. The only problem that I have is, let's see if I pull it out and it's not a big deal. I have got quite an ant problem. Look at that, isn't that crazy? Those are all red ants. So, yeah. So what's going to happen is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to grab stuff out of here and probably hose it off, and then try to get them out. So I'm going to empty the shed back out again when I go do Halloween, and that's going to be quite the fun problem. It's so bad. They're so mad. There's thousands of them. So yeah, that's my that's a problem. This shed over here, I keep thinking, you see those and you immediately think there's something on you. This shed is all Christmas. Notice no red ants in this one. So I must have built that over a red ant hill because they are mad. So this is the one that actually blew over. I had to fix it, but now it's all good. This is all Christmas, indoor and outdoor, which is good. So sure, yeah, I could build a haunt back here. I could build a badass haunt back here. It's all level. It's 100% level. Well, basically, right up to the house isn't. But all of this space out here is all level. This is 80 foot by 80 foot, basically. And I could do some serious haunt damage back here. But I don't want to, because eventually it'll be a pool. So I guess the first step will be to get the garage cleaned up and make it so I can work in there a little bit, so I can pull some of this stuff out if I need to fix it. I can put the totes in there so I know what to grab from, so they're not outside and they're not in here. Like I've got lighting to do. I've got bubble tubes to change over to RGB from just the one color they had at Spirit, or at Spirit. So I've got some work to do, and I can do that in September as I put stuff out. But I think this week is supposed to be in the 80s coming up here. A couple days of rain in like Tuesday, Wednesday, which will loosen up the soil so I can put the rebar in really nicely. And I will put the cemetery fence out this week. So technically this is the precursor to the first build video. But I want to make vlogs again about Halloween because it's been lacking and we need to do Halloween. So this neighborhood is really going to be really surprised when all this comes out. So I know a few of them have seen a few bits and pieces, especially if they've looked in my garage and seen like the 12-foot skeleton box and things like that. But we don't really leave the garage door open that much. So nobody really saw us bring all this stuff back from the truck. We did it pretty quickly. So when it all comes out, it's going to be pretty badass. So I do need to make a new base, and I have some foam. You can see them back there. I've got 3 pieces of foam. They're like 3-4 inches thick, maybe. I got several pieces of that I can make a new base for that guy. But yeah, so we've got some stuff to make. It's going to be a small graveyard this year. There's a chance I may not even put out this second fence section and just leave it blank, and just put out the front yard. I'm going to do that first and see what it looks like. And then maybe I will just add the second yard in next year. So we'll see. But you can see on this picture here, this is what I want to do with both yards. As going forward, this is kind of a rendition of what it will look like. So we'll see how that turns out. So stay tuned for actual Halloween building vlogs to start here, and I'll keep them a little shorter than this. 15 minutes is pretty long for you to listen to me ramble on about my yard. So, all right, back to work, I guess. Talk to you later. Haunt on.